Okay, we're going to move on to our next question. It's a little different. Speaking on military women and violence, we're leaving it open to define violence in your own words. And do people really understand what's going on with military women and violence and what can be done about it?
Do you guys want to talk, is this rape?
Are we rape? It can be...
Or are we talking about women as perpetuators of violence, like England, who was involved in the torture of Iraqi prisoners in Abu Ghraib? A female, by the way.
I think she's talking more about like the violence against women, like say you're in a position and you have a superior sexual harassment.
Sexual harassment.
Which I feel still goes on in there.
Anytime, yeah. I think anytime you have men and women come together, not even men and women. I know of one case in the Marine Corps where a female captain was sexually harassing her female lieutenant. So
that's what I was saying.
It's not limited just to men perpetuating this kind of system.
The gay stuff goes on too, even though there's a thing against it.
No.
Well, they say it is, but whether they act on that, because I was explaining that a lot of there is a lot of gay people in the military, and they're very good at their jobs and stuff.
Yeah, don't ask, don't tell, fail finally.
Yes.
So that does not apply to transgender people, however. Do you want me to continue to talk on this? Or yeah. Whose question is this? I mean, how specific do you want to get? Do you want anecdotal evidence, prosecutions? Whose question is? Yeah. Who did a project on military women and violence?
It was actually my question.
Yeah.
And I just heard, like, from friends that were, like, I have a couple friends that are in the Marine Corps, and they would say that, like, women would be discriminated against in the military, but I didn't know whether any of you all would know, like, actual evidence of it happening or experiencing it or anything like that. I was just curious.
There have been quite a few news stories, investigative reporting on
Gang rape at the United States Air Force Academy.
Oh, yeah. And women who are deployed being afraid to go pee at night because if they go out of their tent, they'll be raped by a fellow soldier. About women who bring accusations of rape who are then disciplined, and the man they accuse is not disciplined at all. I mean, their speculation is that there's a whole lot more than gets reported because the hierarchy is not cooperative.
But is it different in the military?
In the real world.
I mean, this same, I like to think of the military simply as representative of our culture. Gay people, go find them. Racists, you're going to find them. Liberals, plenty of them there, believe it or not. So the same kinds of patriarchal systems that would keep women from reporting them are at work there. That store manager who fills up his female employee at the Roadrunner Market here on the edge of campus is no different from, or is he? That is debatable. A sergeant filling up his private, in the closet in a building. Or is it? I mean, some people would argue that because the military has all these different laws and a power structure that's different, like it was illegal for, if I gave an illegal verbal order to a soldier, they can go to jail for not doing that. Yeah.
But I think it's like when you're deployed and you're in certain situations, like if it's like you're in wartime or something like that. Like I've seen these movies, but it's actually true that all the stress and stuff goes on. People are under a lot of stress and stuff goes on. Well, I'm talking about like,
I think I do know what you're talking
example,
about.
Vietnam. They're out in the jungle. They're lonely. They hadn't seen their families, and so this young girl comes along and
I don't think rape's about men being denied an opportunity to orgasm. It's an exercise of power and violence. And you know, thinking about this harassment and everything that goes on, I mean, there were instances, as I said, you know, my male subordinates who were several ranks beneath me would proposition me. I had a female subordinate touch me inappropriately while adjusting my uniform for parade. And I chose not to report her because she was the top-ranking NCO in the brigade, and she was mine, and so I ignored the fact that she did that.
I had an incident when I was in boot camp. I was getting ready to get out of boot camp, where a woman, I was asleep in my bunk, and she came on to me, and I about knocked the heck out of her, but because I was asleep, but just stuff like that.
The Army has implemented a bunch of new rules. Actually, the Department of Defense has put in a bunch of new rules and subordinate agencies that are trying to kind of do the whistleblower type move, prevent the punishment of people who report the crimes.
Yeah.
But it's really complicated. I actually, as a commander, so I commanded it several times, and I had women who made accusations, and it's very difficult to manage the situation.
Is it more difficult because it's a closed system?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it's the same thing you see in the civilian world. I needed to protect both parties. If he was not found guilty, if he truly was innocent, I needed to protect him. I needed to protect her mentally, physically, and in every way. Oftentimes, the woman may be punished, but it was usually because she was breaking other laws or rules. You got raped because you were doing X, Y, and Z. So she's punished for that. That's right. You were drunk. You're not supposed to be drinking when you're deployed. Okay? Yes, he's going to be punished too, but, you know, or you can't prove it. I had, you know, I only successfully prosecuted 1 out of 3.
I mean, that's the same as the civilian world, for sure.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
And he was pretty, I mean, it was pretty obvious. She was a lesbian. Her roommate left the door open. I mean, just like what happens on college campuses, right? And he claimed he didn't know where he was, that he was in the wrong bunk. So.
Tripped and fell inside.
I asked him if the scratches on his face kind of clued him in. So he went to jail. But the others did not. I mean, it's the same kind of thing. One had had a